Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy! Do we have a highly requested one here today? Boys and girls, there is a war coming between a king of high epic fantasy and arguably the king of urban fantasy, Malazan, Book of the Fallen, one of the most touted and respected high epic fantasy series of all time, versus the Dresden Files, the urban fantasy epic that has slowly but surely cemented itself as a staple of the subgenre and one of the best known just modern fantasy series, period. I've basically just been waiting to do this video till after I finished the first 10 Malazan books, and now that I've finished that accomplishment, I'm excited to pit these two against each other because they have similarities but are extremely different, and I find have some audience overlap. So I'm sure some of you are gonna be as conflicted as I was when I was sitting down drawing my little maps, scoring out the system of who's gonna win which category. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into the first one. Category 1 for this bout is going to be character. Immediately one that's going to draw sides. Who has the better character portrayal overall? Well, to me, it's strange how difficult it actually is to compare character here, but especially after looking really in depth into how Erikson writes his characters and contrasting that with how Jim Butcher writes his. Oh my lord, is this just polar opposite ends of what the approach to forming protagonists and antagonists and their purpose can be. Erikson has a very philosophical approach to how he forms the ideologies, motivations, and actions of those that drive his narrative. It's all about the grander message, the meta themes, and what he's trying to say within the text while also serving an epic fantasy story. And as a result, we have some of the most interesting and thought-provoking players within the Malazan world I think the fantasy genre has to offer. Whether it's Quick Ben, Whiskey Jack, Karsa Urlong, Animander Rake, all of these people are bangers. And I'm very confident the more you read them, the more you'll appreciate just how spectacularly they accomplish the mission they are literally written to do. On the other side, though, we have Jim Butcher. Now, he doesn't necessarily have deep theming within the whys of his characters. It's more just charm, wit, and charisma. Instead of having his characters serve theme, it seems to be the other way around, where the themes just kind of naturally flow through Dresden Files in the character that is built, mainly Dresden, where Malazan definitely has a heavier load to lift up, having many POVs that take up several different whole books, whole different cultures, societies that are spouting out from these characters that we learn from. Dresden is hyper needle razor point focused on one character and everyone's viewpoint on him, Dresden. Granted, there are certain small bits where we're not exactly following Dresden's perspective within the Dresden Files, whether in offshoots or just slight chapters here and there. We do leave this guy's eyes. Yet, overall, Dresden is touted as one of the most well-realized and deep characters the genre has to offer. It happens very slowly. People who have read the first few books are probably scoffing at this, but he changes. The years and years and years that pass in the Dresden Files series really let us, the reader, grow up with Dresden in a way that I don't think Malazan has. Is that enough to overcome the incredible heavy lifting Malazan does, though? In my opinion, no. Well, I think I enjoy Dresden as an individual character on the enjoyment level more than just about anyone within Malazan. In terms of my technical achievements and just respect for the craft, overall, I have to give it to Malazan. But this is a difficult point, and I can see it going either way. I especially want to give another mention to how Dresden is constantly having the different ways characters view Dresden show how he can be seen from others in ways we don't as the readers often get. How intimidating, funny, charming he can be, or scary and mean. I mean, we see all the different sides through the way other characters react to him. That's a beautiful angle, and one, again, I don't think is as well done in Malazan, but Malazan with its truly just sprawling cast of well-realized, flawlessly motivated characters, each of which dripping with personality, I have to give it to the chunkier boy here. Now for this next point, though, we're going to go to another one where these two contrast each other magnificently, and that is going to be magic systems. Ooh, magic systems here. Okay, so getting into Malazan first yet again, I want to talk about how much I enjoy this little pocket dimension element where different magic users happen to these alternate warrens, and they're able to pull out these different powers. And it's never too thoroughly defined. Malazan's definitely in the softer side of things in general, and there's more than just this going on within the Malazan world. I mean, we're talking all the way up to gods down to individual magic users. Malazan's magic is more on the Lord of the Rings level, where it's just kind of filling the world in all angles, and I very much so appreciate that. Dresden's similar. We have gods down to the individual magic users, and like Malazan, Dresden has magical creatures and all kinds of different things going on. But I'm giving the edge here to Dresden Files, specifically because how much directly the magic plays into the world, and the explanation of it and the ways characters handle it really helps kind of make the whole world breathe better in a way that Malazan again does too. These two series both do pretty much everything pretty well, but I find it to be a smidge more so for the Dresden Files. Just those small magical moments where Dresden's sitting down and preparing a spell, teaching his disciple, or interacting with a sentient skull. It just has a raw enjoyment, charm, sex appeal thing to me that Malazan just never quite achieved on the same level. And it's of course so vital to literally every scene with our main protagonist being this practicing wizard from beginning to end. I totally understand people who want to go the other way for this one, because the more like mythos appeal Malazan brings to the table, super appealing as well. And now, plot. Dresden's plot is rather straightforward and evolves slowly, and in a way that I have not seen before I picked up the series, where it's this like case detective story by story. Oh wait, there's this slow overarching narrative, and now we're unfolding into this urban fantasy epic. It's this beautiful blooming into the full potential, and I love it. I love that Dresden pulled that off so well. But to claim that I can appreciate or give as much respect to the story told there as to the one told in Malazan would be insane, because this is this could be made into a TV show kind of story over here with Dresden, and then Malazan is the one that I have no idea how you could adapt this, because it's a continent's story. It is hundreds of characters. It is nations and groups and gods, all motivated, all moving together, all breathing in this environment. The story itself is the world rather than just the story of Dresden. Frankly, I enjoy the story of Dresden more, yet, if I'm being honest, again, on that academic level, Malazan takes this all day, no question, not even a little bit of a tiny angle of a question. I guess the way I could sum this up best is the story of Dresden in my mind is a very nice portrait of Dresden. It's super well done. There's details there that are just mind-blowing. It almost looks like a real picture because Dresden feels so real. It's so well done. But over here on Malazan, we have someone who, instead of drawing a portrait, they built a world, and that wins. Prose, the way these stories are written. I don't need to get super in-depth here. It's obvious. Dresden Files is very enjoyable in the way it's written. It's simple and super digestible to deliver this character and his personality as cleanly as it can, and it accomplishes that job just marvelously. But Malazan's prose are this poetic, epic masterclass of how to fill your lines with the feeling of what you're crafting. Erikson, yes, it's difficult at first, and I will take away points for that. Getting into the Gardens of the Moon is going to be tricky. People will read and reread that book and not know what the hell is going on. But around book 5, 6, 7, I can't believe I just said around book 5, 6, 7 of Malazan, but seeds will bloom to life, and I think that makes the entire series just so much more enjoyable to read through, because I go back now and I've read some passages from the first, second, third, fourth book, ones I did not enjoy that much, and now upon rereading them, I'm like, oh, how'd I miss this? It reads like an old epic fantasy poem in some ways. Each character's vocabulary, the way environments are described, there's this throw you in it and experience it mentality, but the language helps you experience that feeling of being in these lands. Whether it's in the frigid north, on the oceans, or in a battlefield, Erikson knows how to work a pen to bring you into his world as deeply as I've ever been brought by an author. Because of that, I put mad respect on Dresden's name, but this point as well goes to Malazan. Relationships! Now, I know some people do get annoyed that I separate out characters and relationships, but it's an element of storytelling that I find to be vital in my own personal enjoyment. You can have great characters, but if they're not interacting with each other in interesting ways, I don't care that much. The stakes within a story for me are very often nearly entirely driven by how well the author is realizing the dynamics between the people he's spending so much time and effort into building. And here, Dresden takes this point handily for me. Relationships within Malazan are wonderful, but it just did not feel like the true focus of Erikson so often for me. I would say some of Erikson's strongest relationship building came between Corlott and Whiskey Jack, and I liked it, I appreciated it. It definitely had some real heartfelt moments that touched me, but this is where Dresden's bread and butter comes in. This story revolves around how people view Dresden and how he views them, how the relationship dynamics grow, and how these people grow up together. Again, an angle I just don't feel like Malazan has. And Jim Butcher does honestly relationship and character dynamics building better than 99% of the people who've ever attempted the craft. I mean, if you even just go down to the level of looking at what fans talk about for various series, I don't see too much Malazan discussion that's focused on relationships between characters. Even on Erikson's level of like great monologues we get from characters, it's usually a demonstration of themselves rather than a demonstration of how others are interacting with them or view them. At most, we tend to get clashing of ideas and ideologies, and those can evolve nicely throughout the series. They do, but on the heartfelt, gut punch emotional investment level, Dresden takes it. Whether it's with Molly, Murph, Michael, Butters, Dresden, this crew, it just kicks ass. Plus, there's a deep relationship with the dog. That Dresden has Doggo. That is cute. Big O Doggo, that reminds me of my childhood Doggo. That Doggo get point. Now let's talk about world. Which has the better world? Malazan gets it. Moving on. No offense, Dresden. You're great, you're beautiful, you're big, you're luscious, slow build, enjoy it. Malazan's Malazan. End of story. But this just leaves me to announce the winner. And I think to no one's surprise, the winner is... Anyway guys, thank you so much for tuning into this video. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Leave me your rage-filled comments in the comments down below. Let me know why I'm wrong and how. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.